Welcome to Withdraw Consent. I'm Victor. This is Jack. So today is going to be a follow-up to yesterday's video about Gaddafi, and we're going to be discussing his Green Book.
Yeah. So I have it here, the Green Book.
Okay.
And so I'm going to recommend that you read it. I forgot to look it up beforehand, but it's 106 pages.
Okay.
Okay. So like $11 on Amazon, $6 on Audible, 2 hour and 17-minute read.
Okay.
I encourage it. It's wild, right? Now, you had said in your episode that you had read the review of it and it was like ramblings or something.
Yeah, it was, fear of people who aren't yourself. I forget what it's xenophobic. It was, contradictory. Like they were just dismissing the whole thing.
Okay. That's funny. There's actually no xenophobia in there.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There's a chapter and it's titled "Black People Will Prevail in the World."
Oh, okay.
Now, in the Audible version, it just says "The Black People" is the name of the channel, is the name of the chapter, you know? I didn't see any xenophobia whatsoever. I didn't see any rambling. I didn't see any contradiction whatsoever. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about it.
Cool.
Because I think it's interesting. I'd even be okay if you just turn this video off right here and just go read it yourself and never come back and watch it.
Okay.
But people don't read books. And it's got some fantastic ideas and it's got some ideas that I don't agree with in it. Okay? But basically it's split into three parts. In the first part, it talks about politics. Second part, it talks about economy, which is going to be socialism, which is going to be communism. In the second part, so that is what it is. And the third part talks about social stuff. But it is worth reading, even if you don't like the communist stuff. Basically, part one says the solution of the problem of democracy, the authority of the people. Okay. So the problem, so this guy was killed because he was a dictator and a tyrant, you know? Mm-hmm. But if you just Google it, was he no, it says he was a figurehead. Because what he ran was a direct democracy. Okay. So all those good things that you told us about in yesterday's video, he didn't make any of those things. The people made those things because he made an effective way to do a direct democracy. Okay. They just write that out of history and say they killed a dictator. They didn't. This book is obsessed with people not having dictators over them.
And giving the power to the people. So the fundamental problem is that the people don't have enough power. So in the first chapter, he talks about the instrument of government. And basically he talks about like if there was a 51% to 49% vote, then that's not democracy, that's tyranny by 51%. Because the 49% then lose their vote for X amount of years. And then he goes on to say if there's 3 parties, 4 parties, 5 parties, then it could be a tyranny of the minority. Where 34% of people or 31% of people, but to get more votes, you know, and then they tyrannize. But he wants where 100% of the people have political power. So 51-49 is not going to cut it for him. It's not good enough. That's one of the things that we're at right now in the United States. Sure. Literally like 51-49, you know. And the next chapter, he talks about parliaments and how any representative that stands in front of the people is going to take away the power of the people, in his view. Okay. So he describes this well, where he says that basically there were kings and that they herded people like sheep, you know, and then the people wanted representation. So then they want a parliament. And so the parliament was created so that the people would have some power to push back against the king. But it's not the end game, the parliament. It's just what they got so they could get some representation to the king, but you just don't want it, you know, in his opinion, you know. And then he goes on to political parties, right? Political parties are something that come between you and having political power. And he makes some great points, but basically like you'll see a situation where one political party, the Democrats will say something that will advance the best interest of this nation. And the Republicans say, ooh, you want to do what? Why? Because the Republicans need to defame them in order to oust them from political power so that they can put their own agenda in. Forget about the best interest of the American people. A great example is the wall. Trump said, build the wall, build the wall, build the wall. They said, you're racist, you're xenophobic, that's unconstitutional, it's immoral, blah, blah, blah. And then Biden now says, we need a wall. Wasn't that the wall was a bad idea, it's that political parties were in the way of you having political power. Do you know what I'm saying? And so they were thwarting the best interests of the country. Fortunately, the Republicans did not then say, we don't want a wall. They said, haha, you're funny because you guys are terrible at this, you know? So anyways, then he goes on to talk about class, you know? And
He doesn't want one class dominating over another class, because then that loses the representation. Even if it's the largest class, the middle class, but they don't them dominant over the. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They shouldn't be taking political power. And class isn't really a big thing on your mind unless you're into the communist stuff. Like, we don't really do a lot of class stuff. And then he does plebiscites, which is funny. So plebiscite is like when you take a vote. I'm going to change these 42nd Amendment, right? Yay or nay. And then you get to go vote, like a vote of confidence.
Okay.
And you say yes or no. And he says plebiscites are terrible because they take away the political power of the people. They try to put your entire voice as somebody who should be running the country. Everybody should be running the country. They try to take your entire voice and put it into a yes or no.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but why did you say yes? Why didn't you choose no? What could change? You know how they slate questions. And it's like, how could the question be changed to better represent the will of the people, you know? Anyways, then he goes on to his solution, right?
Okay.
And his solution is to, so this is not the communist part. This is the direct democracy part. It kind of sounds like communism, but this is not that.
Okay.
This is just direct democracy. So the problem with direct democracy up until now is that they can't get everybody in the same room in order to, you know.
Sure.
So it happened in Athens. There was 30,000 voting citizens. That was a long time ago. So basically, he set up this system where basically there's like these people's committees, you know? And so instead of going to your school board committee, you go to this committee.
Okay.
You just write the law you want for the whole country. Go ahead and write it.
Okay.
You know, you write it, you pitch it. Somebody else says that's a great idea. You know, I second that. It gets ratified through. You know, now it's going to go to your popular Congress. You know, what's your popular Congress? Bunch of people getting together, just a bunch of people from different people's committees all getting together on a specified day, and they come up. You come up with your bill, and maybe somebody else has a better bill than yours that's more effective and worded well, and you say, "I ditch my bill. I second your bill." Maybe they do the same to you. You come to some type of universal consensus on what types of things you want to get done. That you have limited money and you've got two major paths you could go with the money. And so you just vote on, you know what I'm saying? Until you get to. And then once a year, it's called the Basic People's Congress or something, but like the main one for the whole country.
Okay.
And that's just comprised of a bunch of people from popular congresses. That's not even, each one has like a secretary who's in charge of it, but they're just in charge of the rules.
Okay.
They're not actually don't have any political power. And there's no person with political power in your entire country, just a bunch of people. And they just work their way. So you like, this is kind of nonsense. This would never work. Watch yesterday's video if you haven't, right?
Right.
All of those laws, and you're like, how did they live in a country with this great laws? Because they made them themselves.
Right.
They all got together and said, what do you want to do? Yeah, let's nationalize the oil. We can provide for healthcare. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyways. So I'm not advocating this form of government. I'm just saying it's got a lot of stuff that you should think about in here.
And stuff I've never thought about before.
Right. Because I've never thought about practically trying to do direct democracy or how that would work. He goes on in a completely separate vein, under the politics section, talk about the law of society. And he says the law of society has to be based in either tradition or religion.
Okay.
Okay. And he gets to the part about the Constitution here. And he says constitutions are wrong because constitutions are man-made and they prevent either tradition or religion from influencing the laws of the land by codifying it in a man-made thing.
Okay.
You know? You can argue with that a lot. I used to be such a constitutionalist. Then I realized that nobody cares to follow the Constitution. So me saying, but you're not following the Constitution doesn't really matter anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Now I'm against the whole constitutional idea though. You know what I mean? Wait a second. So I'm an intelligent person. You're intelligent. You're intelligent. Let's get together and make some laws. Nope. Stick to the laws from 250 years ago. You're not smart enough to. It's a different time. Nope. Stick with the Constitution. You know? You could agree or disagree. You know, everybody's at different points in that Constitution thing, but he raised some good points in here. Who supervises the conduct of society, right?
Okay.
Nobody's allowed to supervise the conduct of society because anybody you put in power to supervise the conduct of society is therefore a tyrant. So therefore, he says it is dictatorial for any individual or group to claim the right of supervision of the laws of society, which is democratically the responsibility of the society as a whole. So it's being supervised by the people's committees and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
But the laws are, but the enforcement of them isn't.
this is the conduct of society.
Okay. But the conduct isn't governed by laws?
Yeah, they create the laws.
But then who enforces the laws?
Just the people.
So just if you see someone robbing a store, then you just execute justice yourself? Like that type
But
of thing?
imagine you live in a good country with no crime, you know?
Okay.
And then somebody does that. You could say, let's hold a people's committee. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, what are you going to do? There's not a lot of crime. You live over there. Your name's Bob. You know what I mean?
Or Billy, he got drunk.
Or Billy got drunk again. Dang Billy, he's going to be recurring here. And it's like, okay, I'm not arguing this is correct.
Okay.
I'm just saying that
I'm trying to picture it in my head.
Yeah, they're trying to put nobody. So this is interesting. How can society redirect its course when deviations from its laws occur? Right?
Okay.
So basically, he says the only way is through violence and revolution, which is carried out by those who have the capability and courage to take the initiative and proclaim the will of society. However, this unilateral approach is dictatorial because the revolutionary initiative in itself provides the opportunity for a new instrument of government representing the people to arise. So basically, the answer is held in the Green Book, which he announces all the time. But basically, it's his idea of the people's committees and stuff.
Okay.
It's just like imagine. Okay, so this is not the way to get from where we're at now to here.
Okay.
But once you're here and somebody starts to deviate, you just bring it to the people. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So if it's like they're trying to push some weird agenda, you just get the people together. It would be funny. I was thinking as I was reading this, just to start doing this, just start having people's committees, and it's just people showing up, and be like, okay, the new laws of this town, you know what I mean, of Los Angeles are, and the government's looking like, what do we do? What do we do? And then people start doing those laws, and you're like, no, those good laws. Don't do those good laws. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It would be hilarious. Okay, the press, it starts to get a little commie in the press, right? But basically, he talks about an individual can only represent themselves.
Okay.
A corporation can only represent themselves. Neither can represent society as a whole, right?
Okay.
So basically, he takes away your ability to do what we're doing right now, right? But then he also says that you're allowed to do it if you just want to prove your insanity, because you could only ever speak, not what we're doing, but you could only ever speak for yourself as an individual. So any fake representation is if you represent a group. So it's not what we're doing.
Okay, yeah.
But if you were to represent a group, and then basically if you're like the dentist journal or something, you're legally confined to talking about dentist stuff.
Oh, okay.
And then the only actual public press, besides those things, like corporations have their own press, just, hey, this Budweiser says you should drink more beer. Budweiser did a study and beer is good for you. 10 beers a day is the best. You know what I mean? You could do that as much as you want, but it's confined to that. And then basically the people's committees and stuff would create their own press.
Oh, okay.
Where they would jointly talk about it and there wouldn't be one reporter or something going wild,
Okay.
Any questions?
No.
Okay, part 2, solution to the economic problem, socialism.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to go over this real quick. Okay. This is not as easy to read. But basically he's got this, it's called the third universal theory, and I don't know what he means by that, but that's just his idea. But basically, they're trying to abolish the wage system. Okay, because the wage system is exploitation and it's slavery if the person who does the production doesn't receive the fruits of the production, what they produce, And so then basically, okay, so this is an interesting idea here. I'm just going to pitch this, and then you tell me what you think, okay? This is an entire chapter. It's super short, called Need. The freedom of a human being is lacking if his or her needs are controlled by others. For need may lead to the enslavement of one person by another. Furthermore, exploitation is caused by need. Need is an intrinsic problem, and conflict is initiated by the control of one's need over another. What do you think?
I mean, I feel like logically it's decent.
Okay, so what he's saying is that you have needs. You can be exploited by those needs. So therefore, it's now illegal to not have any of your needs met.
Like, what is the definition of needs?
Okay, I'm going to do them real fast.
Oh, okay.
Like just half-page chapters.
Oh.
Housing. Housing's a universal need.
Okay.
Right? So the problem is everybody needs it, right? If you have it but you don't own it, so you're renting, then it can be taken away from you, which means it can be used to exploit you.
Or it could be exorbitant rent or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
So you talked about in your video yesterday,
Right.
where he dedicated to get everybody housing. Here's why: because he thought it was a human right. It's in the book. He made it illegal to build a home and then rent it out. It's illegal.
So rent was
illegal.
Interesting.
Right. So you could build it and not sell it because you're not allowed to do that either. Okay. So income is an imperative need for man. Doesn't mean it's got to be provided for you. It means that you have to be given the means and opportunity to do an income necessary to satisfy all of your material needs. That's what the state job is, to make sure that you have that in place. Means of transportation, right?
Okay.
That's a need. And so therefore you have to own it. It's illegal to rent them out. They're going to do the same thing with clothing. Same thing. You can't rent out clothing. I don't understand this because, what if I just want to rent a tuxedo? I don't want to live in a country where I own a tuxedo. I don't need that. I don't require where's my tuxedo? Right. No. Would like to rent one? Okay.
Sure.
Then he does land, right?
Okay.
Land is the private property of none. Rather, everyone has the right to beneficially utilize it by working, farming, or pasturing as long as he or his heirs live on it to satisfy their needs, but without employing others with or without a wage. So you can just go claim as much land as you want, work it, as long as you're working it, as long as you and your heirs live on it, as long as you don't hire people at wages because wages are wrong. So there's no point in you saying, okay, I'm going to go claim 3,000 acres of land, right?
Okay.
And I'm going to employ 4,000. Wait a second. You could take those 3,000 acres, you could just take 30 acres, what you can legitimately work yourself. And then all those 4,000 people you would hire would get the 30 acres that they would all work.
Oh, gotcha.
Why does one person have all the land and then all these other people are working on it, So, of course, he makes a good point there. Man, there's just a lot of good stuff in here, but I don't want to go too much. He does a bunch of examples, but basically it's like, let me just give you the rundown. If you're working in something and there's two different things necessary to produce, right?
Okay.
So, for example, say there's land and work, right?
Okay.
The land gets half and the worker gets half. But you go to work on the land if you want.
The people who own the land?
I don't understand how that part works. I literally thought about that right now.
Oh, okay.
But this is how it's allocated. So imagine, fine. Imagine the land is a factory, not a land. Okay? There's a factory and there's a person working.
Okay.
So you split it, but you don't split it because the problem is there's three things in that situation. And if you're doing the land, it could be farm equipment, could be the third thing. But in this case, it's factory equipment. So there's factory equipment, and person. In this case, the factory is owned by the collective. It's like a collective factory. You could just go work in it, and then you get your portion of 1/3 of what it produces.
Gotcha.
So 1/3 goes to upkeep of the factory itself. 1/3 goes to upkeep of the machines. 1/3 gets split between all the workers. If you're the farmer in the land scenario, you get 50. The land gets 50. I don't know how that works. If there's a farm machinery, then that gets a third. You understand what I'm saying?
I think so.
It's basically it's a little bit confusing, but they're just trying to set it up so that you. Okay, let me tell you another thing. You're not allowed to take more than your share. So you're only able to take the amount that satisfies your needs.
Okay.
You're not allowed to save money. Okay, you're not allowed to take more than your share in order to save. When you've taken your share, which satisfies your needs, you're allowed to save from that, right? Because it's at your own expense. If you were to take more than your fair share, then it's at somebody else's expense. So you cannot take that and save.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you never get ahead. You never.
Yeah. See, I don't understand. I don't have a boat. I need a boat. It's in my needs. Can I work for a boat? I don't know what the answer to that is.
Yeah.
Or even go back to I'm just gonna be really racist or something. Libya, it's like I got 3 camels. I'd like 8.
Right.
There's a fast camel I got my eye on. You know what I'm saying? But how do you? I don't know. I guess it would just be like if you doing Keeping Up with the Jones and they're like, look at that guy over there, he's excessive, and then somebody in the government shows up at your door, like, brother, you're going too hard on this, right?
It's just a very strange concept to me.
Elsewhere, it says that the like in a good society, the old and lunatics, he specifically says that, should be taken care of. They should get their share too. So you don't have to worry about your retirement unless the U.S. comes and,
Does the Libyan model on you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Ruins all your nice stuff and freedom that you have. So I'm not really sure on all the economic things.
Okay.
I would just love to sit down with like a Libyan economist and just talk about like, but not like a propaganda one you would get today, like back then, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, domestic servants don't really care. Social basis of the third universal theory. He goes into a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to really talk about it much in the third part, but he goes into a lot of stuff about like the relation of the family, being the most important, of course. Okay. And then relates the family to the tribe to the, you know, in whatever, sect, the sect to the nation to the world. And he does talk about stuff like how, you know, your bond to your nation is much weaker than your bond to your family.
Sure.
But it is still stronger than your bond to the world.
Totally.
So you do still have a bond to the world to make sure that everything goes well. He does talk about like invading other countries and how it would be terrible and it'd be exploitation. You shouldn't do that, which is kind of funny because then he got invaded, exploited, and physically exploited, we'll say, if you know the story. Anyways, so he does the family, the tribe, the merits of the tribe. We don't really have tribes, you know, but the tribe is like the community.
Yeah.
And the community, if watching you, will not, some things you would try to do that you would get away with if your family couldn't see. But if the tribe can see, you would stop doing it. You know what I'm saying?
I see.
So it's like a community monitoring where you can't just get away with stuff. He talks about nationalism and how important it is. Let me just talk about his nationalism thing, right?
Okay.
Because I'm going to skip woman for a second. There's a minorities chapter right here. And so minorities and nationalism. So he pitches it like this. If you live in a country and there is a minority group, then the reason why there's a minority group is because, remember, tradition and religion. So religion was in ascendancy. And so these people came. And now tradition is in ascendancy, in which case religion is not. Therefore, the minority group needs their nation. Unless their nationalism conforms to the nationalism of the group, if they have their own nationalism, then the only solution is for them to get their own country. To separate part of your country and give it to them. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because every people deserves a country. He could not foresee a thing like this. The United States and the West, what's happened? You know?
Right.
He could not foresee that. That is not what he's talking about. Because that's an actual invasion where
Right.
you need to repel the invaders. He did women. His chapter on women's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, talking about as far as humankind goes, absolutely equal, you know? And then he starts talking about how wonderful and amazing women are with the different things they do. And how because of their feebleness that they have, you know, once a month. And their feebleness for 9 months. And then, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then it's just really beautiful. And like he says stuff like the home can only belong to the woman, to the mother, because it's the maternal house. The maternity house. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's because the children are so important that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he talks about different stuff that just, I might say it and get banned on YouTube. Like he talks about this type of stuff about how like any woman who doesn't have babies, any woman who doesn't have babies has been deceived, right? Or coerced into doing that. And somebody's in the wrong here. Who deceived her or coerced her, or she's refusing to and she's in the wrong, you know? And then anybody who like puts a breastfeeding woman to work at hard labor, you know what I mean? And then like he's angry at them. Like the dude's great. There's this one part in here where he's talking about children. And oh no, that's in the education chapter. I'll talk about it now. He's talking about the children, right? And he's talking about you got to keep the children free from dictatorship and from being exploited. And then he talks about how if you send them to a nursery, right? That's exploiting them because the mother has been coerced to think because of materialism that she has to go back to work and put her baby in a nursery, right? And it's exploitative because if you were to take away the simplicity and the childness of the baby, and then you were to ask the baby, do you want to go to the nursery or stay with the mother? 100% of babies would cling to the mother,
right?
You know? And so therefore it's exploitative. It's the system exploiting the women into tricking them. They have to do this, you know? Later, he'll say the same thing with compelling children to do compulsory curriculum-based or education. Because you're forcing this kid to, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't want, like my kid loves math. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We're just doing math for fun while I'm cooking and stuff. We just do math. And then they're saying compelling him to learn Chinese or something when he hates languages. We'll just say it, just make it up, you know? Anyways. So basically, I know you've been waiting for me to hear about black people will prevail in the world.
Okay, woo.
Do you want to hear it?
Let's hear
it. Pardon me. It's only one page long. I'm still not going to read it to you. I'm just going to You get the book and read it yourself if you want to see the whole thing. But basically, he says, "Hey, look, they've been enslaved. They're angry. They their vengeance is going to be extreme. They're also lazy. They sit in a part of the world that doesn't have any birth control. They just have babies. It's inevitable what's coming. You know what I mean? And then they're going to take out their vengeance on everybody. You know, just like the yellow people had their time. Blah blah blah. So, anyways, good for them.
Okay.
Just kidding. Okay, so education, like I said, no fixed curriculum. He basically did a thing kind of like the Germans did, where I was telling you about it, like the Nazis, where they would tell all the teachers to look for kids with certain aptitudes and then scoop them out of the schools and take them to specialty schools. Well, he says that he doesn't want a regular curriculum doesn't mean he doesn't want schools. He wants tons of schools with ridiculous curriculums. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you want to go to a business-oriented school, but that focuses on woodwork on the side, they have that. But they also have the really good business school that focuses on metalwork on the side. Like every type of education you could imagine so that you could fit it for the child.
Right.
You know, that you could adapt it in order. Because they're just trying to make the best kids they can, both the Nazis and this dude.
Yeah.
Like we're just trying to pump out kids.
Totally.
What was it? It was in Oregon. They actually voted to take away the requirement that to prove that you're able to read and write before you get your high school diploma. Wow. That literally happened, you know? And they asked one of the parents, and the parents is like, yeah, I'm just not surprised, you know?
Oh, okay.
Okay, music and art, I'm not really going to talk about that. He talks about we could all understand each other better if we all had one language. But not one language that we all learned, one language that we inherited. So it'd be generations down the future. And then the last chapter is sports, horsemanship, and the stage. Surprisingly good chapter based on that title, and I think I'm not going to talk about it because I'm going to save that for our sports ball episode where I will read quotes out of there because it's so good.
Okay.
Anyways, what do you think about it?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, new stuff that you to process and to think about.
Yeah, because I got these other ideas for other forms of government, you know, that we talk about. And then at one point he's like, but two honest thinking people will not disagree that direct democracy, if done right, is the best form of government. Okay. Yeah, I kind of agree. What is the quality and nature of the people? Blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, you're getting me here a little bit. You know what I mean? Well worth it. I would just say, I would recommend it. We mentioned a lot of books. I've never recommended you read a book before because I know people don't read books.
Right.
But 2 hours and 17, $6 on Audible.
Yeah.
Okay, anyways. Okay.
Especially if you're one of those people that just listens to stuff all the time. Sounds like a lot of food for thought that you could.
Yeah. If you're interested in just thinking. Yeah.
So we're putting this one on the shelf.
It's going on the shelf.
Nice.
Yeah. It's
cool.
Graduated.
All right.
Not that I agree with everything in it.
Sure.
But it's one that I wouldn't miss.
Right.
Anything on the shelf are just books that you shouldn't miss them. You know.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, Gaddafi.
Wow.
Interesting fellow. Like, I mean, it's been a real journey. I think your video from yesterday was a pleasure. So we filmed that a couple weeks ago because then I had to get this and read this for this video. And then I just listened to people, you know, like talking about, like, for example, there was, Hillary was at a thing and she was on stage, you know, and this guy starts heckling her, you know, but he's actually bringing up issues, you know, and she's actually yelling back at this dude.
Oh,
you
wow.
know? And they're screaming back and forth. And this other lady up there, there's a bunch of old bags up there, you know. I don't know who they are. One lady starts, yelling at the dude. And it's like, Gaddafi. Do Gaddafi. We came, we saw he died. Off camera moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he was a dictator. Just Google it. Look at Wikipedia. And it says he was a figurehead. And he controlled only the military and the secret police. So he just didn't do any laws.
Right.
What dictator doesn't make laws?
Right. For his own benefit.
Yeah. Because even in secret police, they only enforce the laws of the People's Committees and the Popular Congress.
Right.
So it's like, you're head of the police force. Like nowadays, you're head of the police force and they say, go shut down all the businesses.
Right.
Being head of the police force is not that good of a job. It's like,
it
sucks.
You're the bad guy.
Yeah, I'll just drop this job right now. You know what I mean? That's how great the job is.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all I got.
All right. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Like you said, interesting look into Gaddafi, is some of the stuff he believed in his country and his history.
And you're welcome that I didn't read you more passages.
Oh, okay.
Because I had like 100 marked and I restrained myself.
Okay. It was still great though. Yeah, good presentation. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And we're going to keep doing the villain series, and hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you on the next one.
So we just want to add a thought onto the end of this video. You've watched the Libya, the villains on Gaddafi. You've watched the Green Book. And then whenever you're listening to the news and you hear them say, we got to support Israel because it's the only democracy in the Middle East, the shining light on a hill. It's because we destroyed Libyans' pure democracy, their direct democracy and their people's committees and all this stuff. We've literally destroyed that. So whenever you hear them saying that, don't listen. Now, we could do Iran next because we destroyed they had a democracy. Okay. We destroyed that as well. You know what I mean? We covered it in another video. But I just want to push this idea on you. Anytime you hear them say, Israel's the only democracy in the Middle East, we have to support them, it's because we've destroyed and crushed all the others. That's not an adequate excuse. Right. Correct?
100%.
And then that's what we got for you.